Like when y'all hear me say that, hey man, you know, find your own truth, your singular truth. Like you have to understand, when I'm telling you that, I'm telling you something that can shape your entire reality. I'm not just saying that because it sounds good. I'm saying that because once you get one truth, which very few people have, once you narrow your energy down, your higher lower self, once you narrow it down to one truth and call it yours, but you have to disconnect first, bro, your life is gonna do whatever you want it to do. It's going to do what, that's what I'm saying, bro. You ain't understanding what I'm telling you, man. Huh? You ain't understanding what I'm telling you. I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you, man. You talking to a man that once upon a time I was walking around the house with a loaded hot one in my hand, bro. And I was 100% sure that October the 19th of 2009 was going to be my last day on this planet. I was 100% sure. I had made peace with it. But now here I am, man, living a life that I can only create in my mind, bro. At ease, brothers. Man, your boy finally made it, man. Your boy finally hit the big 5-0, man. And I'll be honest, there was a point in life, man, where I didn't even think I would hit my 20s. There was a point in life where I didn't even think I hit my 20s, man. Your boy woke up today and he's 50 years old, man. And I'm gonna tell you this, life is about to hit a whole new gear. It's about to hit a whole new gear, man. And I'll say this, man, God don't owe me nothing, bro. If my life was to end today, brother, I've checked the boxes, man, and life has been good. But this is what I want to share with y'all, brothers, man. I was on the phone with my brothers yesterday. Y'all heard me talk about my power of three sometimes, man. My brother Chris Cadet out of Florida, and my brother EJ, who lives right down the road from me. We were sitting there having our weekly God talk, man. You know, then them brothers were saying, hey, you know what, so your birthday's coming up, man. And then Brother Chris asked me this. Chris said, man, if you could go back and talk to your 30-year-old self, what would you tell yourself? In other words, what would be the most game-changing information you could relay to your older self? And I told them brothers this, man. I said, you know what? If I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self, and I only had one thing to share with my 30-year-old self, man, this is what I would say. And let me first say this. You gotta understand, man, my life is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Like I'm living in my paradise. Y'all see how beautiful Bangkok is, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm living in my paradise. My health is trending in the right direction. My bag is trending in the right direction. And any other measurable in my life is all trending in the right direction, man. So this, knowing this information, this is what I would tell my 30-year-old self. If I only had one thing to share with that version of myself, I would say the most important thing you need to understand is you have to disconnect as soon as possible. You have to disconnect as soon as possible, because you gotta understand, you're not even living life until you disconnect. Disconnect from the matrix, however you wanna say it. Until you disconnect from whatever system you've been given, which is the same system that everybody's been given, until you disconnect from that system, like you really aren't experiencing life like you're supposed to. You really aren't even able to bring things into fruition like you're supposed to. And I'm gonna tell you this, man, you have to understand that when you make that disconnection, at some point in time, that disconnection is gonna turn into bliss. That disconnection is gonna turn into your paradise, into the dream, into the life that you dream of. But you gotta understand that before it does that, you disconnecting is gonna be painful. It's going to be painful. I'm not even going to keep that from you. When you disconnect, it's going to be painful, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me say this first. Like, you have to understand that the world, I don't want to say that. You have to understand that life is always trying to get you to disconnect. Whether we call it life, whether we call it God, whether we call it your higher self, whether we call it circumstances, You have to understand that life is always trying to get you to disconnect from this world. Like, you have to understand that that's what the bottom is. When you have hard times, when you have a bad relationship, when you have a layoff from your job, when you have some illness that crept up on you, man, you have to understand, man, that's life trying to say, hey, you know what? We're giving you this issue, we're giving you this outcome because we want you to look at the world different. We want you to disconnect from every single thing you thought was true. Now, you hear me talk about 2009 all the time, man. I talk about 2009 more than anything, man, because that's when I hit my bottom. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I am so grateful for that time. As painful as it was, you talking about pain, bro. As painful as it was, like, I've never lost everything at one time. I've had some turbulence in life, man, where relationships kind of fall out, or money fall out, or job fall out. But I ain't never had a situation, man, where everything fell out at the same time, man. But looking back to 2009, I understand that happened because I requested that. Like, the whole, I don't know, so far, the whole, several months leading up to that event, maybe even a whole year leading up to all that stuff happening, man, I was asking God, the Creator, to show me what life was about. And I got to the point, man, and life was good. Like, life was good, man. Beautiful wife, beautiful home, money in the bank, cars in the garage, good job. Like, life was good, man. But I started feeling empty. I said, you know what, man? I got to this milestone that I thought life was it, but I'm here, and yeah, I'm grateful, and life is good, and yeah, life is fun. But it's not the fulfillment that I know it's supposed to be felt in life. So I asked God, I said, you know what? I said, show me what life is about, or really take me out. You know what I'm saying? And let me say it like this. I wasn't asking that before. I was just asking that question. Show me what life is about. And when I asked that question over and over, and I became the version that was ready to accept it, man, in a matter of all at once, everything just left. All those blessings, it was all gone, man. And that's when I found myself in a situation where I said, God, you know what? That's when I was getting ready to delete myself. I said, God, show me the way, or I'm out. In other words, I don't even want to play this game anymore, or I'm completely out. But what I understand now, looking back, is me going through that. It's not that God, it's not that energy, our Creator, didn't want to put me in position where I am now. It was that the Creator couldn't put me in that position with everything that I had going on in my life, meaning my truth, my beliefs, everything that I stood on. So when I say disconnect, what I mean is you have to separate yourself from everything you know. Going back to 2009, man, like I was, my religion that I was participating in and everything that I was about spiritually, it was all set to flames, because everything that I stood on, it had no ground when I was at the bottom. All that belief, the way that I thought, the way that I believed, what I believed in, what I was calling God, it like life showed me that the way I was thinking, like that ain't what it was. So I had to disconnect from my old way of thinking as far as my religion. I had to disconnect from it because it had no more substance. It had no more life in it, right? I had to disconnect from the way that I saw my finances and success. I said, you know what, man, if I can buy me a home, if I can buy me, a couple of cars, a couple of toys in the garage, a motorcycle, man, and and got a good job, and I said, that's what success is. But once I put all that energy in calling that my truth, and I obtained that, and I got that, then not only was it empty, but I understood that success really held no ground. Like, what I was calling success really held no ground, because once you remove that from me, what that means is I was no longer successful. And I said, that can't be true success if it's something that can be taken away from me. You know what I'm saying? The way that I saw love. Of course, when I got married, man, I was 21 years old. So me and my wife, we were both young, man. And we loved each other. Even to this day, me and my ex-wife are dang near BFFs. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my best friend, man. Like if I had to trust somebody, man, I definitely trust her, man, and care about her well-being and vice versa. But man, we were young when we got married. So the way that I saw love then and what relationships were supposed to be, like now you hear me talking about the first marriage of man, second marriage of man, and what it's supposed to take for a man and woman to come together. That wasn't even a thought of mine. My thing was, if she pretty, if she nice, if she like me, then let's get married. I'm 21 years old. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta understand, man, when you hit the bottoms in your life, all that's taking place, it's not that God or the angels there's nothing trying to curse you or send bad things your way. Most of the time that those bottoms come when it's time for you to disconnect. It's like, hey man, you tried this way long enough, like separate from it so you can get truth. Because at the end of the day, like that's the whole purpose of disconnecting, to find your truth. You have to understand that when you look around the world, man, you look around, you go to the store, you go to the mall, you go to church, you go wherever. You have to understand that everybody is governed. Now, everybody won't agree to this, but you have to understand that the far majority of people are governed by the truth that the world has bestowed upon them. I got my shirt all hanging down crazy. You know what I'm saying? The majority of the world, the majority of the people, kind of like in the movie The Matrix, when they were walking through the city, was Morpheus was saying, hey, look around. Everybody looks normal. They're teachers, they're doctors, they're this. He says, but they're programmed. Like in other words, they're governed by something that you can't see. They're all tied into the same system. That's why you have to disconnect. Because until you do that, you're going to get the exact same result everybody else gets. That's why you have to get, and if I had to tell my 30-year-old self, what this is what you need to do, man. Think about this. Think about what I'm saying. Out of all the things I could tell my 30-year-old self, I could tell that version of myself, hey, you know what? You need to invest so you can have the bag. Or I could tell that version of myself to do a number of things that will come to my mind. But bro, there's nothing even remotely close to you disconnecting from this life. There's nothing that can touch it. You know what I'm saying? Could I give my 30-year-old version of myself something to make more money or more whatever? It's like maybe, but you have to understand, you can't even really feel fulfillment until you disconnect. That's why I'm saying you really aren't even living. You aren't even living until you disconnect. Hope those sirens ain't too loud, man. Feels good out here today, man. It's I think it's officially rainy season here. It rains every day now, man. So I think it's rainy season, so it's good to get a clear morning, man. But yeah, disconnect, and you're disconnecting. So, like I said, so you can find your own truth, right? And if you haven't read A Singular Truth, I'm explaining how to find. Yes, you understand, man. Like you have to understand, and I'm gonna speak on this. You have to understand. Like when y'all hear me say that, hey man, find your own truth, your singular truth. You have to understand, when I'm telling you that, I'm telling you something that can shape your entire reality. I'm not just saying that because it sounds good. I'm saying that because once you get one truth, which very few people have, once you narrow your energy down, your higher and lower self, once you narrow it down to one truth and call it yours, but you have to disconnect first, bro, your life is gonna do whatever you want it to do. It's going to do what, that's what I'm saying, bro. You ain't understanding what I'm telling you, man. Huh? You ain't understanding what I'm telling you. I can show you better than I can tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you, man. You talking to a man that once upon a time I was walking around the house with a loaded hot one in my hand, bro. And I was 100% sure that October the 19th of 2009 was going to be my last day on this planet. I was 100% sure. I had made peace with it. But now here I am, man, living a life that I can only create in my mind, bro. Living on the other side of the planet. Money got smiles, health got smiles, everything is on green, man. And I'm telling you that based off of, I'm saying this came into reality based off of what I'm telling you. At least part of what I'm telling you. Of course, I say this is one of many nuggets that I tell you, but you have the ability, and all I'm saying is this. If you're waking up every single day, listen to what I'm saying when I say this. If you're waking up and there's an area of your life that you're saying, hey, you know what? I don't like this area of my life. I don't like what my bag is doing. I don't like what my health is doing. I don't like the city I live in. I don't like the job I have. You don't have to stay there, bro. You do know you have power to create what you want, right? Like you do know that, right? You know what I'm saying? So when I'm telling you, when I'm saying, hey, bro, form a truth, I'm not just saying that because I feel like saying it. I'm saying once you form your truth, get a singular truth, once you form your truth, then everything is about to change. It has to change because we're made in the image of God. And when we say a thing is, on all levels, that thing has to be. Don't matter what side of the tracks you're on, no matter what color your skin is, no matter what school you went to or didn't go to. Don't matter, bro. So that's what I would tell my 30-year-old self. You know what I'm saying? Like that right there would get that right there, if I told that to my 30-year-old, the version of myself at 30 years old, if I told that person that, then by 33, that person would be living exactly how I'm living at 50. And at 36, that person would be living light years ahead of where I'm at now. And at 40, that person would be green miles away from where I am now. And so on and so on and so on. That's why I get this information to my son. This is what I tell my son. Matter of fact, I made it so easy for him. Like I didn't even allow him to connect to anything. And when I say connect to anything, you know what? We bring a lot of what we're connected to is just because mama, daddy, grandmama, and them, they all had their connections, and out of love, they gave us our connections. But even if those connections are good connections, you still have to disconnect. And if it's part of your truth, you'll find your way back to it. In other words, if you're Christian or Islam or whatever other religion, well, you have to disconnect from it to find your own truth. And if you disconnect to it, man, and start from scratch, clean slate, and you gravitate back to a certain religion, now it's your truth. But like my son, man, I never gave my son a truth. Of course, I always walked in an example. Like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to tell you how to be an entrepreneur. Watch me move. Watch me move. Watch what I do every single day. I'm not going to tell you what to believe. Like, I'm never going to force you to go into an establishment where people are worshiping God. Never. Not one single day, not one single time in my life have I ever made my son step in some religious institution because that's what I believe. Because I want him to have his own, like you gotta understand, when we get older, 30, 40, 50, it's a lot harder for us to disconnect from something because it's so much it's ingrained in us at that point. We've been singing Easter speeches since 5 years old. And you telling me at 30, now you're supposed to say, hey, you know what, let me just run everything through a filter again and see if it's my own truth. Bro, it's hard. And that's why most people don't do it. But if you never had anybody embed that in you, then it's like you come of age and you're automatically finding your own truth. Now my son just turned 19, right? My son just turned 19. He's running circles around most grown men I know. As far as like the way he's living, his bag, his health, where he's going, where he's running circles around most grown men I know. He's not even 20. And he's running circles around most grown men in all areas of life. So you gotta understand the power of what I'm telling you, man. Right? So the next thing I would tell the 30-year-old version of myself, and this right here is what would allow that version of myself to just quantum leap like so much faster. It would be to understand and to embrace darkness. to first understand and then to embrace darkness. Because once you do that, then you become whole. And once you become whole, then you find God. How copy? I'm gonna say it again, man, and I'm gonna say it a different way. Most people you know, whether they're singing in the choir, whether they're preaching from the Vaticans of life, whether they're preaching from the pulpits, whether they're prostrating toward any direction, most people on this planet think they've experienced God, but most people haven't. You have to understand, once you find God, like you understand, I'll say this: most people run from the darkness. Most people will give the darkness several names, whether it's evil, whether it's whatever, and run from it, having no idea they're running from another part of themselves. Just like a person is running from their higher self, like until you can embrace everything that this life entails, you can't find God. Until you embrace duality. Until you embrace duality, you've never came close to. You might have felt good. You know what I'm saying? You might have had a little something running through you because the choir sang good. You know, you can call that what you want to call it. Call it adrenaline, but you can't call it God, man. You can't call it God, bro. Once you embrace that darkness, man. And if you want to know about finding God, man, and not even finding God, but moving in that God energy, Recipe 2 is coming out. About another week and a half, 2 weeks. The Recipe 2 will be coming out. It's going to tell you exactly how to create your own matrix. How copy? The Recipe 1 told you how to master the matrix. If anybody that's seen the recipe, the first recipe, put a comment down there, man, so the other people understand how heavy the recipe was. The Recipe taught you how to master the matrix. So in the Recipe 1, I'm demonstrating how I went from wanting to hit the delete button to mastering being the top of the chain in my career and hitting the 6-figure mark and da-da-da-da-da. Like I'll give you step by step how to do that. But it was still me mastering someone else's matrix, which is cool, which is a win. But a whole nother level is that, man, it is finding really what God is and being able to create your own matrix. You understand what I'm saying? Where your life is completely ran by you and operated by you and governed by your truth and put you on another planet. Like, I don't even think about what's going on back in the US. I don't think about what laws are coming out. I don't think about those kind of things because I've created a completely different world. I've composed a completely different reality. Within that reality. So the Matrix 2 is coming out, man. If you want to understand how to create your own matrix, the Recipe 2 will be coming out soon.